It is. It is. We've got all this right because we can just go. Yeah, we're good. Okay, yeah. Because who needs an intro?
Yeah, really.
We get compared. You know what? I'm sure you probably heard this, but we get compared a lot.
I consider that a compliment.
On our, not just our physical stature, but our, I believe the word is smart-assery.
Yeah.
We have been accused of making a light, but I would argue, although I would love to put together a greatest hits of your one-liners. I think at some point we need to make that happen. How? But you're also your humor is to put the exclamation mark on the point you're trying to make. You take very serious issues. You never step away. One of the things I respect about you is you're never afraid to speak how it is. Whether everyone's going to like it or not, you're going to tell it how it is. And that's a rare quality in politics today. How do you continue to do that? I mean, because there's a lot of pressure. I thought you handled when we had that horrible tragedy with that terrorist in the truck, and you stood on business. And I was very critical. I lived there, support the police like nobody's business when I was in New Orleans, and I was very critical of a lot of I didn't just like the things. And you really spoke for the people, and I really appreciate that, sir.
Well, thank you, Tyrus. I mean, I consider it a compliment, but I think we are alike. We both play outside the pocket.
Yep.
I like your description, smartassery. I'd rather be engaged in smartassery than jackassery. So I think we're up there.
Yep. And you got a new book out.
Got a new book out that I'm proud of.
How to test negative for stupid. Now that, sir, is a major scientific find. If you could get that in a mail kit that comes to your house in a little box, and you could just test it and do us all a favor before you walk out the door, you would know, like, hey, you know what? I need to figure this out. I've got a whole bunch of stupidity in me right now.
Well, a lot of people in Washington would fail. As you know, in Washington, common sense is illegal.
Yes.
And there are a lot of smart people here, Tyrus.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that they have common sense.
Well, just so you're not alone, common sense is also not very popular in entertainment or in the news world on these panels. And that's why once they figure out what common sense is, I won't have a job anymore. Because
amen, man. There are times in Washington when I feel inadequate, because there are a lot of smart people here. But when I feel inadequate and I'm feeling bad, I just look around, and you got a lot of high IQ stupid people up here.
Well, what I call is they have intelligence but no life experience. And they don't know how to apply it.
Yeah,
they a lot of times we'll see people they want to when they defund the police and they want to change our prison systems and less sentences and everyone goes free because their experience of what criminals are from TV and movies, where every criminal is a poet or a lost soul who did something to try to save his family. They have unrealistic goals with no life experience. And I think that's a big problem because the stuff that they've experienced has been. They don't have boots on the ground, and when they talk about a lot of the stuff that we see today, that's what I try not to blame them. Like they just never have been in a situation where they know there's a reason why we have penitentiaries in this country.
Well, if you live in a gated community, and you've never been really exposed to the real world, it's very easy to say that cops are a bigger problem than criminals.
Yes.
And that was the genesis of all this defund the police stuff. And in many places, as you well know, Tyrus, they did it.
Yes.
And what happened? I mean, it wasn't hard to figure out. The criminals said, oh, thank you very much. And crime went up.
Yep.
And now the folks are, even those that don't want to admit they were wrong, are trying to get back off that limb. And we're doing better, but we're not well yet.
No, I think a lot of it had to, and when in being in New Orleans, I know at one point that our police numbers were down like critical level. We were really low. And one of the nice things about living in Louisiana is that we had we had the sheriff's department, then we had our police department, and then we had, because I lived, on that wonderful bridge, that 33 mile, we had our own police force on that bridge. So we kind of had, the Causeway police. We kind of had that part of we were very lucky on the other side of the bridge because we had those presences, and we had a strong community with neighborhood watches, boys still had to behave when they walked into the Barnes and Nobles, because if they act up, the sheriff would be waiting for them when they walk out. So, so in a bubble, there's a lot of us be like, oh, I don't see what the problem is. Because, in different parishes, it was kind of up and down. But across the country, when you look at some of the bigger cities, it's still a nightmare.
Yes. And look, I'm not smart enough to figure out why. But it's just a fact that there's some people in this world who they hurt other people and they take other people's stuff. And you can analyze it and try to explain it, but the bottom line is they do it. And the first goal of government, first purpose for government is to protect people and property. So when people, for whatever reason, hurt other people and take other people's stuff, they have to be punished. And if they do it again, they have to be, in some cases, separated from society. It's been like that since God was a corporal. I mean, it's been like that forever. That's just human nature. And some of my Democratic colleagues, it seems to be mostly Democrats, not all of them, but they just don't get it. I mean, they don't want to admit it. Many of them still believe that cops are a bigger problem than criminals, and many of them still believe that if a cop has to shoot a criminal, it's automatically, in every case, the cop's fault. But if a criminal shoots a cop, it's the gun's fault.
Yes,
and that's not the real world.
No, it's not. And speaking of and doing a little research, you were in the treasury. You were in the treasury for 17 years. You were the treasurer?
I was state treasurer.
How exciting was that? Because I think when I hear treasurer, I think Oak Island. But we know that's not what it is. Wishing that you could just go around looking for treasure, but that's a very tedious numbers job. That's a long career. What made you change from that to going into the Senate?
Well, look, I enjoyed being state treasurer.
17 years, I would say so.
Yeah. The state treasurer in Louisiana is in charge of investing the state's trust funds and idle cash. Also, I was responsible for managing all state debt and bond issues. So it was an important job. But my job was limited primarily, Tyrus, to financial issues. And I was interested in that, but other things as well. And Washington, look, in the Senate, if you like policy, there's no better place in the world. I can, if I get interested in the chronic disease management program for Medicaid in Florida, I can stop and read about it. We deal with foreign affairs, we deal with taxes, domestic affairs, social policy, economic policy. Now, it can be frustrating sometimes. In the Senate, I don't know. The Senate only works when all senators are not crazy at the same time.
Right.
That's the only way we get things done. But it's never dull, I'll tell you that.
Has there been a big change? Because one of the things that you still do that I noticed a lot of just politicians in general, you always show respect. Colleagues, my esteemed, and then you'll get to brass tacks. You don't see that as much. Has that been the overall just human decency to someone who disagrees with you? Has it always been that way, and it's just more out in the open now? Or was it, when you were first coming in, was there more decorum between different sides, which I hate boxing and tenting and bubbling, but It seems like it's gotten a lot worse, or is it just now we see it more?
Well, that's a great question. Look, we, both Democrats and Republicans, work very hard in the Senate to maintain civility. The House, I've never served in the House, and I have many friends in the House, but it's the Wild Wild West over there.
Yes, it is.
I mean, there's some people over there that they've gone crazy.
Well, not just that, they forgot that they're actually there to do a job. When you ask them how many laws or policies or anything they've done, they look at you like you're crazy. But they're on every panel on every network that will have them, every soundbite. But when it comes to actually rolling up their sleeves and getting some work done and building something, we don't see a lot of that. We see a lot of sound bites. I like the House guys. I don't know.
Not all of them, but some of them, they dog cuss each other and call each other an ignorant slut and file censor petitions. And we try not to do that in the Senate. I try not to do that. Whenever I talk about a president, whether it's President Trump or President Biden, I almost always say President Biden.
You did.
President
Yes,
Trump.
you did.
And I think it's important to show respect, no matter who the president is.
I think that's the biggest thing that we're lacking today when we see from our leadership is, now listen, I'm the first one to say, you got something to say, and sometimes people not like what you have to say, and that's fine. That's what the argument and discord is. But when you start the conversation with "I hate you," or you're a moron, or as you said, ignorant slut. Not a whole lot's going to get done at that point. Everyone's just going to start digging their foxhills, and then of course, and then I'll come into work and they'll be like, look at all these sound bites from last night. I said, did any policy get done? Look what this one called this one. And that'll be the story. It'll be, for a long time, it was the squad versus Taylor. That was the thing every week. Like, who was barking this, that, whatever. And then, but we're missing the point of what the meeting was actually about. And I think one of the things refreshing about you is that even in all that mist, in your cleverness, you will still remind everybody while they're there what our purpose is here for. Then you'll hit them with a playful jab. It's enough. I think the reason why people and there's another thing. I don't think I've met anyone who has really had anything bad to say about you across the board. Republican, Democrat, Independent. It's always the same thing. He's fair, but watch what you say around him because he'll get you.
Well, I don't hate anybody, Tyrus. I really don't. When I say my prayers, I ask God, don't let me hate, because it's hard in Washington. The deck is, if you're conservative, the deck is stacked against you. But I really do. That's one of the things I pray for. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't stand your ground. You should articulate clearly and succinctly in plain English where you stand on issues. You shouldn't run from them. You ought to hit them head on, but you don't have to be ugly doing it. Now, sometimes I achieve that balance. Sometimes I don't. There are times that there are things I'd take back. I wish I hadn't said, but I try not to. And that's just worked for me. I know every one of my fellow senators really well. I like all of them. Some of them I like better than others, but I respect all of them. I can tell you that.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you just saw, don't stop there. You can catch the full conversations right here, only on Planet Tyrus. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And you don't want to miss what's next. I'm telling you, bad things will happen. Oh, I'm just playing. Nothing bad's going to happen, but I won't be your friend.